WIBTAH for telling my husband his bio child was conceived to entrap him? WIBTAH. I 27F married my now husband 32M last year. This is the second marriage for both of us, and we are annoyingly happy together and have a blended family with 3 amazing kids. I and my bio kids temporarily moved into my husband's house that he had bought with his ex-wife. He won it in the divorce as she had no interest in it until we can find a bigger house to buy together. My husband is neurodivergent and just doesn't see certain things and has difficulty deep cleaning. No problem, I love organizing cleaning, so I got this. However, while cleaning out closets and garage, I discovered that his ex left many of her personal belongings behind when she moved out 1 year before I met my husband. I am not the other woman. This included old family pictures, papers, family mementos, heirlooms, etc. At first, we would send these things with her when she picked up my stepdaughter for her custody weekends, but she finally told us she wasn't interested in receiving any more of her old things and asked that we just throw out anything else no matter what. Okay, fine. Sign. After this, I found a box full of old college books and notebooks stashed in a crawl space. Yeah, I was feeling nosy and resentful for having to continue to clean up her mess, so I flipped through one of the notebooks I found. Inside was a journal entry dated 7 months before the birth of my stepdaughter, detailing that she got pregnant when she purposefully went off her birth control without telling my husband because their relationship was going down the drain, and she loved him and didn't want to lose him. So, in final conclusion, I have kept this knowledge from him so far because I don't want to cause him pain because I decided to be nosy. However, I am also on the fence because this feels huge. She was very emotionally abusive towards him, constantly cheated on him during their entire marriage, but would use him getting her pregnant as the reason why she was with him, and he needed to support her and take her back no matter what. My brain is so muddled right now. So Reddit WIBTAH for telling him about what I discovered? P.S. In case anyone is wondering, my stepdaughter is an adorable carbon copy of her dad in feminine form. It's uncanny, actually. So there isn't any doubt about paternity here. Edit for more clarity since people are mean. My only motive for telling him would be trying to alleviate some of his guilt around him being told by his ex that he was at fault for the pregnancy, which his ex used as an excuse to manipulate him. I have a lot of folks commenting on here about my stepdaughter somehow finding out if I told him, and what damage that would do, but I can say with complete confidence that neither of us would ever tell her. She is absolutely innocent in all this, and telling her would accomplish nothing but harm. I have no interest in hurting or harming anyone else involved here, not even his abusive ex. We are not in competition. This knowledge isn't something I am trying to weaponize against her because I am insecure. I am not. Am not. First comment, this is actually a really good nuance. Do not tell him what you have read. Give him the notebook and urge him to read it. Tell him that you are available to speak with him about what he sees and what he feels from reading the book anytime that he is ready. Tell him that he should speak with you first if he wants to talk about it. I know this doesn't seem different from telling him, but it is you are letting his ex tell him just how manipulative and dishonest she was, in her own words, and in her own hand. I mean that figuratively, as in these were her choices and her actions that she has documented. If at all possible, I would also try to make a copy of those documents privately and stash them away someplace that the ex can never find them. Because if she realizes you have seen these, she will certainly come looking for them and try to seize them out from under you because she knows the damage they can cause. But I agree with everybody here that he needs to learn this. He needs to know this. And when he speaks with you, you should explain that you are trying to protect him from her manipulations and her lies, which apparently are continuing to this day. It is important that you be the first person he discusses this with so he does not accidentally bring it up to his child. Given the way you described his neurodivergence, it may not be obvious to him that this is inappropriate information for his child, and you just don't want him stumbling into that by accident. Good luck. Second comment, I would say tell him. Is this a horrendous situation where your husband's trust was broken by his wife? Yes. Will it hurt him to hear? Yes. But keeping it a secret will not make it so that the situation never occurred. It will just make his trust be broken by his wife again. I understand that people think nothing good will come out of telling him, and I can see their point, but sometimes there's no good outcome at all, and you have to look for the least worst outcome. And your husband finding out that his ex-baby trapped him is better than him finding out his ex-baby trapped him and his current wife knew but didn't tell him. It would be likely that he'd lose trust in you and would have to go through the pain of 2 betrayal on his own, whereas if you tell him you can help him trough 1 betrayal and get a support system ready for him. I feel for you. This is a hard situation, and whatever you do, I don't think you are the asshole, but your husband would probably see that differently, and I think being the bringer of bad news for your husband is better than ending up being the bad news yourself for him. Don't let the betrayal of his ex lead to you betraying him. Third comment, what if he finds out that Op knows? That would for sure cement this as an moment and definitely ensure everyone suffers. You should take him to lunch, give the kids to a sitter family member. Plan on a weekend getaway to at least work through it together. Then talk him through it. Don't do it in the house, especially with the kids around. I wouldn't avoid the possibility of Mom using this to her advantage later on either. She may have left it on purpose, hoping for exactly that outcome. She might even try to say, "Oh, I guess Op must have found and destroyed my letters about how I trapped you." By being honest, upfront, supportive, and available, this could create an unbreakable bond and cement your family together. Either way, it's not easy. Tears, anger will be had, but the outcome is based on your reactions. Crazy people do unhinged shit that wouldn't make sense to most people. Who would you rather be, the one to break that news to your partner? Do what your conscience demands, and best of luck to you and yours navigating through this shitstorm. Fourth comment, Op, ignore the people refusing to see how damaging something like this could be, and let me ask you some questions. ND to ND. How does husband's ex treat stepdaughter? What does custody look like? Is there any chance ex is resentful of her for not being the perfect band-aid to keep her and your husband's relationship from failing? What are the chances that if stepdaughter gets in a fight with her mother is going to throw the whole thing in her face? Or would she lie and try to claim she herself was baby-trapped? What are the chances ex knows about that diary and wanted it to be found so that she could use it as ammo on the future? Because there's tons of manipulative people who would absolutely do that. How do you think this would affect stepdaughter and husband's relationship? Would you be willing to make him aware of the risk his ex poses in terms of parental alienation, or the risk she might treat stepdaughter poorly because her plan didn't pan out? This is a very real risk, and it would be appropriate for him to know. It's also something a lot of other commenters are failing to take into account. And most importantly, how much does your husband value honesty? Because if he values it a lot, keeping this secret could ruin your relationship and be a massive betrayal. The answers to these questions have a lot of sway on whether you'd be the asshole, but as a neurodivergent, I feel like you absolutely need to tell him. Especially so you can prepare for when your stepdaughter realizes what kind of person her mother is and starts questioning deeper. And trust me, it'll be far sooner than either of you realize. Your husband saw the creation of your stepdaughter as bringing a child who had no choice into a world where her own mother never wanted her. Your husband's ex saw the creation of your stepdaughter as another pawn to play in the game of manipulation and a use with her ex. Fifth comment, WIBTAH for going through the journal and WIBTAH if you said something. You obviously didn't know you were going to learn that from her journal. You definitely infringed on this woman's privacy because you wanted to be nosy, which is not cool. And what's the outcome of telling him? Maybe it alleviates his guilt, which is weird in itself because he didn't get her pregnant without her participation. He might have felt guilty about not being there for his daughter. But even if she hadn't stopped taking birth control and she got pregnant, it's not like it's one person's fault. In fact, it's more likely her fault because she was taking it at different times or something like that. But birth control is not 100% effective, and it's not like he was supercharging his sperm to impregnate her against her will. So maybe just explain basic biology to your adult husband if he feels guilty. But telling him about the ex writing that, okay, it might alleviate some weird guilt thing, but it's also going to create new resentment towards his ex. And kids can sense that kind of resentment even if no one is explicitly telling them about it. So now your stepdaughter will probably feel more torn between her parents than before. Instead of trying to work towards healing and becoming better co-parents for your kids, it seems as if you want to create drama and tension.